Do lifers let the newbie know they are not in the wrong place. They are, of course, the place to be, the Life Be Lifing podcast. Yes, I know our lifers uh, are usually used to the dynamic, the darling, the gorgeous, the witty, the wise, the electric, and the eclectic, squishy gangster Mimi, the goddess being with us. However, she is still on break, so shout out to her in her absence. Meanwhile, I'm gonna hold the damn who am I? You know who I am. And if you don't, let me let you know who I am. I am, that was almost like a Barlow kid. I am your favorite coach's favorite coach, your favorite fat freckled man, the big dog himself. Who? And this, again, is Life Be Lifing, the Life Be Lifing podcast. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So had to get a couple things straight for y'all so that we could identify the episode on YouTube. It was coming up under some misinformation. So if I went to go share it, our lifers wouldn't be able to identify it and then get in the live chat. But we back, we here, we are here. So like I said, let me go ahead and make this thing shareable for the folks. How's everybody week been going? Um, Mine has been fairly solid, to be honest. I had a little bit of car trouble, but you know what? Without even beating y'all over the head with the details of my car trouble, let me tell y'all this, man. I'm grateful for being in a better space in life. You know what I'm saying? I'm grateful for the part that everybody who helped me get here, including God, including my spouse, including my family, friends, everybody helped me get to this better space in life. I appreciate you all because there's a time, there was a time where if I had car trouble, it was like the end of the world. Not just personality and mentally wise, but honestly, there was going to be a lot of things I couldn't do, a lot of moves I couldn't make. But you know, I'm a part of a two-car family, so we still able to move around and do things we have to do. Kids still get to go where they go. You know, wife still gets to go where she needs to go. I still ain't got to deal with SEPTA full time and all that nonsense. You feel me? So honestly, count it as I tell everybody, count every win, and that's a win. I'm in a position to where the situation that's wrong with the car, honestly, I could get it fixed tomorrow. There was a time where that wasn't the case, where the struggle was really, really real. So, um, once again, I had to say, I'm blessed to be placed in a better position in life to where, hard times ain't don't feel like the end of times. You know what I mean? Um, so outside of that, though, for the most part, my week been cool. My week been cool. How about y'all? Let's see if Dirty end up back in the chat. I probably had to send him the link again. I am now sending the link to Facebook so that our Facebook family can make sure that they uh tap in with us in the live chat. So while I'm doing that, I saw Fantastic Four. I don't know if y'all saw uh the IG live I did with Mr. Know It All on Superman. Um, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. We didn't get to talk about Fantastic Four yet, but I'm gonna have to hit him up so we can have that conversation. I would just say that from my own personal opinion, um, Fantastic Four was mid. Uh, it was very mid. Like I give it a C. Um, it how should I put it? If you don't know anything and you're just going to watch a movie, it's okay to watch. But if you know about, the lore, if you understand how Fantastic Four actually work, if you were one of those people who was happy to or excited to finally see a good Fantastic Four movie, and this is not bad. It's not a bad movie by any means, but it's not like dope. I wouldn't say that. Excuse me. I wouldn't say that. It's not all that, and it definitely has some plot holes I mean, every superhero movie has plot holes, doesn't it? But something that happened right in front of your face where it's kind of like, all right, y'all really testing my suspension of disbelief. Y'all pushing it kind of far. Um, y'all are pushing it kind of far to where it's like, there's no way. There's no way. Like, we're not talking about making sense like real world makes sense. It's like that doesn't make sense according to what just happened 5 minutes ago. Like there was some things where it's kind of like I get it. The good guys have to win, but come on, you know, making us just a little on the ridiculous side. Other than that, man, what's been going on? Uh, other than that, honestly, I don't know if you guys. I will be honest. I did not watch the entirety of it, but I know it's been a topic of discussion. The Amanda Seals versus 20 Black conservatives. That was on the Jubilee channel on YouTube. I have seen scenes and clips from it, and I will admit, I will admit before I say anything, I will admit I am by no means an Amanda Seals fan. I don't really like her because in many ways I see her as a fraud. And I felt that way before the Club Shay Shay incident. After her interview on Club Shay Shay, and her resulting comments afterwards, it just confirmed how I already felt. However, I will say that for the most part, she did more than hold her own against the 20 conservatives. And I'll give flowers like this. This is the thing. I don't have to like you to acknowledge when you actually do something worth acknowledging. And I'll give her flowers, man. What she said at the end about black being something here in America and black being something abroad, right? And the black diaspora as a whole being so separated in how we need to lead an understanding in order to bring it together about how being black in America is different from being black everywhere else. 100% true. As somebody who is both Trinidadian and American, Kenya, what's up? Welcome, 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 welcome. We got Kenya, aka Kane, in the chat. I gotta send my bro to chat because he was in here earlier, but when I had to restart, it probably dropped it, or it probably dropped him. Um, so yeah, I have to give her credit. Like I said, I'll give credit where it's due. I don't have to like you to be able to acknowledge if you did something solid, and I can't disagree with anything she said at that. I don't even know what the topic is, but if you're talking about one radical versus 20 conservatives, Amanda, I think her name is, she fucked those weirdos up. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. And I'm giving her credit for doing so. Um, I'm giving her the credit for doing so. I didn't watch the whole thing. Not just because of my dislike for Amanda Seals, but truth be told, me personally, it's one thing to be a black conservative, right? I happen to know a few black conservatives. I happen to know a few black conservatives. And there's things we'll disagree on, right? But there's still people that at the end of the day, they understand things like systemic and systematic racism. They understand prejudices. They understand things like redlining and, all these kinds of things, right? They understand this. So there's things that again, I, I believe you, bro. And like I said, I watched some of it, but I didn't watch the whole thing. And I'm explaining why I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't have a better way to say it. And hopefully this doesn't, get flagged uh on YouTube or whatever. Or let me try to be slick about it. raccoonery. Okay, the animal with the over the eyes. Yeah. So if you understand what I mean by that, that's what most of those dudes were. They were not just dudes and women. They were not just black conservatives. They were, the animal with the rings over the eyes that eats trash and comes out at night. Okay, y'all know what I mean by that. And when it comes to those kind of black people, the black people who are, self-loathing, black people who are anti-black, I can't stomach it. It gives me a headache. I literally find myself getting too angry with them. I have a bigger problem with them than I have a problem with racists outside of our race. If you're outside of our race and you hate us, I don't like you. I don't rock with you. Don't get me wrong. You don't get no pass, but you're outside of our race. So, like, it pisses me off, but I don't feel no betrayal because you're from the outside. Betrayal from the inside, when it's black people who don't like black people, that's when I feel betrayed. That's when I feel, livid. That's when I'm like on some other type time. Like that, nah, nah, I can't. I can't deal with that. I can't watch two, three, four of those type people talk. Um, I can't. I can't. Nah, I'm not gonna sit through it. Like, you had the one young guy trying to deny that redlining was a thing. Then you had this other black guy who kept talking about being at home, playing video games and smoking marijuana. Like, you're black, and that's all you think of black people. You're there with 20 other black people. You're talking to a black woman. At what point does it occur to you that people who just stay at home, play video games, and smoke marijuana are not the majority of black people? And see, when you're not a black person and you believe that, I think you're foolish. When you're a black person that believes that, F you. Okay? I don't even I don't even have a way to put it that sounds poetic or clean or any type of situation like that. Nah, I get too livid. I get too livid. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't finna lie to you. I get too livid. So, while she was doing her thing, doing what she was doing, or whatever, like I said, I will I will give her credit where her credit is due in terms of holding, comporting herself, um, speaking to the issues, not trying to be petty for petty's sake, as she can tend to be. Um, I'll give her credit on that. There's something she said that I did kind of disagree with because it's kind of like while there are while there are problems in the black community, right? And I'm not going to stay on this too much longer because that's not what this episode is about. While we do have several problems within our black community, we got to be honest about the problem being real, but we also got to be honest about how we're going to address it. You know what I mean? Like if somebody's saying, like, let's say somebody wants to say, okay, one of the problems is, music or whatever, right? The negative music we have, so forth and so on. Yes, we can blame, the record companies. And this is a conversation I had with the homie Taya, aka Taya, the curator, earlier today. Yeah, you can blame uh the industry for pumping out words, more negative music than positive music, but they are not pumping out music that doesn't sell. So at the end of the day, while you want to talk about, what the record company does to poison, what's the problem with her radicalism? I don't have a problem with her radicalism. I don't have a problem with her radicalism. I have a problem with her. Like I have a problem with Umar. Like I have a problem with most extremists. Um, is that they're not honest. They are quite disingenuous, and that's really it. I'll just stop there. I'll just stop there. I had problems with Amanda Seals since before people are knowing her as this, pro-black radicalist or whatever, or extremist, or however you want to word it, right? Back in the day when she was busy trying to insinuate that an NFL player, had sexually assaulted her, and then when it came out that that wasn't true, she tried to act like she never said it. Like things like that already put a sour taste about her for me. Like I was already sour on her with that. Seeing her have conversations with certain celebrities and how dismissive and disrespectful she was towards certain dudes. I ain't like that. So as a person, I was already off her. And that's before she even, was doing Insecure. So yeah. My problems with Amanda Seals goes beyond that, before that. If you want to be radical, that's fine. That's fine. But all I ask is that you be honest. All I ask is that you see the entire picture, that you're willing to tell the whole truth, even though that's not going to make Black people look in the best light when you tell the whole truth about the conversation. And sometimes you have radicalists that pretty much explain away all the issues in our Black culture as if Black people aren't responsible for any of it. And I can't rock with that personally. Um, that being said, let's see. I'm still waiting to get a couple more people because I want to have an interesting conversation tonight, Kane. I want to have an interesting conversation tonight. I'm not sure if you see the title, but I really want to have a conversation tonight about um the things that, like, there's things that us as men, we can admit there's things that us as men don't like about women, bro. That's just the truth of the matter. There are things that we as men do not like about women. That being said, there's quite a few of these things that we don't like about women uh, that kind of fall on us, right? Like some of their behaviors, some of their thought processes, some of it is just flat out our fault. Like it started with us. Like the blame starts with us. If I'm going to be 100% honest, the blame starts with us. Um, so I want to get into a few of those things tonight and kind of work through it and break it down again from a standpoint of good faith, from a standpoint of honesty. I'm not here to pander. Y'all know that's not my twist. I'm not here to just sit here and hope that, if I say a bunch of things where, I hold men accountable, women will all of a sudden, start giving me praise and think I'm going to be, the next super simp. Um, but excuse me. Um, there's definitely things that fall on us that I think we need to be able to admit. And tonight I'm hoping that we get to admit it out loud. You know what I'm saying? And that we have the full conversation. Um, I'm still waiting for a couple more fellas to join the chat so that, like I said, it's not just two people talking, because I like, again, I feel like there's multiple of us who could benefit from this conversation, both male and female, to be honest. But I feel like, if you have a couple more dudes in the chat to put their input in besides mine, because I'm not the end all be all. I'm not one of those channels where it's like, come to me for advice. I know everything. Uh, you know, I've been studying this for 7 years. Like that, bro. That's not where I stand. So that's not where I stand at all. So like I said, I would like for more than just my black male opinion to be reflected in this conversation. But Kane, what's good with you though, man? How's everything? How your week going? Um, what else? Because y'all know I ain't here for the dead air type situation. If you are into gaming or watching people play video games, or you're kind of thinking about getting into streaming yourselves, reach out and let me know. I still haven't figured out an exact schedule for when to play and what I'm playing. Recently, I've been, uh, excuse me, recently I've just still been heavy into Call of Duty 6, Black Ops 6, and Overwatch 2. I usually put most of those clips on TikTok, Nauri You Nerd. Um, Also, if you're not following Life Be Life and Podcast on TikTok, get on that immediately. Get on that immediately. I do post clips over there, and hopefully, I can get to the point where I do enough content over there that they finally give me the stream key so I could go live over on TikTok as well and try to expand our community. Terrible, but I'm living. Dang, I understand, bro. I understand, man. Sometimes it be like that. Sometimes it be like that. Where's the app? So, um, okay. Just looking up a couple of stats and facts that I want to bring up later, so I make sure I know what I'm talking about, and not just because people don't want to. It's only but so much opinion you want to hear when people kind of like, all right, man, where you kind of getting that from? Again, I'm not trying to be Kevin Samuels out here or nothing like that, where I got to tell you everything. But let me chime in before you go. Hey, man, feel free to chime in as much as you like, man. You in the chat, you live in the chat. Feel free to chime in as much as you like, my brother. The floor is open. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just like I said. I'm just making sure it's no dead air. I think it's a lot of math fault because a lot of us. Wait, let me make it clear that people who don't know. I separate men from them. You do. Yeah, 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 yeah. You do make a distinction that there's a difference between uh men and niggas. But good, good to you. I'll make sure to put that on the screen for folks. All right. Still waiting for you to continue your train of thought, bro. Uh, let's see. I'm surprised our top chatter ain't here. The main man himself, yeah, man. He normally be in the mix. Um, how about y'all? Anybody else feel like there's a separation? Like, what do you use to make the distinction between, I guess, the desirable and undesirable males and females uh, of society, or maybe of the particular society to which you classify yourself? How do y'all feel about that? I just spoke you up, Myra. I just spoke you up. Top chatter in the building. Warsaw with you. I just spoke you up, gang. Literally just spoke you up. Um, I think there's you definitely gotta kind of like I tend to say men and males, right? When I'm differing between you know the kind of people that we're gonna talk about. I'll say men and males because you male, that means you was born with a gap. You have certain level of testosterone, so forth, so on, yada yada yada. Um, but it takes more than that to be a man. I've always thought that. That's why boys are boys. That's why boys are boys. Boys ain't men. Men ain't boys. You know what I mean? Might so call them your homeboys. Might call them my boys, but you ain't no boy. I'm good. Life is life, and I hear that. I hear that, partner. I hear that, partner. Once again, I will go over the topic. The discussion for tonight um, is about how much of what we don't like about women actually is men's fault to blame. Like it's on men. It's our fault. Like we created that problem. You know what I'm saying? You ever been in a situation where you realize, you created your own monster where because you did or said something, now the problem, the consequence, the consequence of having done or said that, you know, is you got to deal with it. You know what I mean? So I was hoping I could get some men in the chat where we can have this conversation. I mean, I want some women to be present too. But I was hoping to get some men in the chat where we can have this conversation, hold each other accountable, but also be honest about the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's deeper than rap a little bit. Deeper than rap, if you ask me. All right. Man, so the folks on Facebook can get it. So, uh, yeah. All right. Quick scenario. Let's have a little fun before we get into it. We got a few fellas here and there, so we about to get talking about it. But you could tell me his name and I could go further. Clear that up for me. Clear that up for me, Ken. Clear that up for me. Um, all of it is men's fault. Women's accountability don't exist for the most part. Oh, Trip. Okay. What about Trip? What about Trip? I mean, I rock with Boy most of his content. I rock with all his content, even the content I disagree with. Let me be straight up. I rock with all Trip content, even the things that I flat out disagree with, because I respect his ability to get his points across, and I respect that he's coming from a genuine place. Like even if I think that is 1,000% wrong about something, Um, yeah. Trick can speak from a man's point of view and then give you a nigga's point of view. Okay. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Sorry, all this yapping got me a little bit thirstier than I typically am. Um, yeah, he can. And he has the ability to empathize. He has the ability to empathize with the female and women's side of the table. But because he's not there to pander, he can also call out the BS from their side of the table. So that's kind of where I would like the conversation to happen today. So tonight, so let's see. Myron came dirty. All right, let's get into it, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all up all night. We already damn near 30 minutes into this, and I ain't get to the topic. So let's get to it. I was going to have a fun with the scenario, but I'll save that for the end. So when I talk about things that fall on us, right? That's like our fault. There's definitely things that started with us. I'll start from something minor. Something as simple as chivalry, right? Women didn't force chivalry on us. Men had an idea of how men thought men should behave when it came to women. Women liked it. And one thing about men, when we do something for women and women like it, we gonna do it some more. That's just 100% true. 100% true. So for the dudes who feel like chivalry is too much, that started with dudes. That started with men. And then did it so much, we created an expectation for women when it comes to men to expect chivalry. Now, while I don't think that's a bad thing personally, I know I get the side of it that dudes currently resent because sometimes, far too often, with expectation comes complacency and less gratitude, right? Because you expect me to hold the door open for you. I can't even get a thank you because you feel as though it's my job now, right? You feel as though it's owed to you because I'm a man and a man is supposed to be chivalrous. So I get that part of it that guys kind of resent. Again, to hold guys accountable, I will say that chivalry is not to be done as quid pro quo. Quid pro quid pro quo. For those who want to act like they didn't pay attention in school, basically chivalry turned into entitlement. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Chivalry did turn into entitlement. But the thing that we men, again, I'm put this back on us right quick, is that chivalry is not quid pro quo. It's not I do, so you had to do. Like, I'm not doing this for you to get a reaction from you. I'm doing it because I think it's supposed to be done. So, while it definitely would be nice, appreciated for a woman to say thank you when you hold the door open for her, she doesn't owe it to us. She doesn't. She's not the one that created chivalry as a standard. Men are. Now, are women capable of chivalry? Yes. Yes, they are. I ain't finna cap with nobody. Yeah, I ain't even finna cap with nobody because even just simple things as far as, ma'am, you dropped this, and then a lady cussing you out because you tried to call her like 3 times. Man, man, ma'am, you dropped your wallet. Ma'am, you dropped your wallet. Man, you dropped your wallet. I already have a boyfriend. Trying, trying to get you not to leave your wallet, man. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff, like a woman, you see a woman, she walking from behind, she don't realize that she done sat in this, whatever she sat in, or there's a big old hole in the back of her dress, and she don't realize, and you sitting there just trying to tell her so that she don't end up embarrassed, and she upset because you're trying to get her attention. It can be like that, but again, chivalry is not you do it so you expect something in return. We're the ones who set the standard for chivalry for women. That's us. So you do it because you thought it was the right thing to do, and whatever happens, happens. Like that's just for the right thing in general. Doing the right thing in general is I did it because I thought it was right. And every good deed is not necessarily rewarded. So Kane said, not where I live. Too many women don't expect that. The women I encounter always thank me for holding the door open. The niggas they deal with cause them to disrespect a lot of men. Mm, okay. Feel like you was starting to cook, but then you got cut off. I'll read it again. Not where I Kenya said, not where I live. Too many women don't even expect that. The women I encounter always thank me for holding the door open. The niggas they deal with cause them to disrespect a lot of men. There, there's that too, right? Like the downside, like the things that dudes do wrong. Um, oh, disrespect a lot of men without a thank you, only because they didn't even think you would do that. Okay, okay, okay. I get what you're saying, and it's a case by case thing. Don't get me wrong, it's a case by case thing. Like you said, where you at, it's probably a lot of people, and most times, to be honest with you, most times when I hold the door open for a woman, she says thank you, right? Most times if I'm trying to alert a woman of something going on, she dropped her wallet, her dress is stuck in the car door. Um, most times, most times, I will say for me personally, well, I don't know. Lately, it's kind of been a little more towards the opposite side, but usually it would be that it goes well, that they say thank you, and that we keep it pushing. Now, I won't lie, in the last couple of years, I don't know what's been going on. The last couple of years has flipped for me to where, I usually will get an attitude and so forth and so on. I will say none of that stops me from holding open the door. None of that stops me from if I see you about to step in something, hey, let's watch your stuff. You know, Again, it's because I think it's right. Right. All right. So that was just a minor example. Let's upgrade a little bit. Let's upgrade a little bit. Okay. When it comes to this whole thing about men being providers, right? You hear it on every damn podcast. You hear it on movies. You hear it now in conversations. It got a little iffy lately. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. It's definitely got iffy lately. But sometimes independent joints get mad if you hold the door open. It's an insult. And that's real. That's real too. That's real too. I've seen it. I got it. I got it. That happened to me this week. I won't lie. That happened to me this week. I went to hold the door open for a chick at my job. She doesn't work at my job. I was at my job and I went to go hold the door open for this lady, and she just was like, "No, I got it, I got it," and it's like, damn, I was just holding the door open for you. It didn't come like you ain't have to give me no ass if I hold the door. Like you, but whatever. Again, stuff like that is not going to stop me from holding the door open for other women, though, for being chivalrous towards other women. It'll stop me from being chivalrous to your ass. Because what I ain't is a fool. What I ain't is a doormat. All right. What I ain't is a sucker ass nigga. You're not going to disrespect my chivalrous attempt and see another one. Ever. It's done. Over with. Over with. If I ever got it, I might. If I got it, I might ask who hurt you. Oh man, I hate that phrase. Lifers, I hate that phrase. Who hurt you? It's so cruel. It's so cruel. It's such a mean phrase to say, especially because it's so disingenuous. 9 times out of ten, when people ask that question, they don't care. They don't care. They just trying to make you seem like you're a broken person. Um, but what was the next example I was getting to? Okay, yeah. So the provider thing, right? Now let's keep it a stat. Let's keep it a stat. When the whole provider thing comes up, sure, there's women who want to pretend that they don't mean financial solely, but they mean financial mainly. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They mainly mean financial. All the other stuff, um, nope, I'm done just playing. Right, right. Like I'll be done with it. I'll be done with it. I'll be done with it, bro. Over with. But When women talk about they want a provider, yeah, they mean financially, bro. Turn the other chivalrous cheek. Nah, I never said I was the cheek turning kind, bro. You talking to the wrong guy. Remember, I said I still carry beef. I still carry beef and grudges. You're talking to the wrong guy, Myra. What Rick Ross say on that? What was his one album name? God forgives, I don't. Yeah, no, hell no. um, turn the other chivalrous cheek. Yeah, all right. But yeah, the provider thing, right? Let's get to that. So historically, there was a point in time where if you were a man and you were going to have a woman, you had to be her provider. Why? Because women could not work. So if you're going to have a woman, you are taking on her financial needs. You have to provide her with a place to live, food, all of those essentials, right? If you want her to be with you, if you want her to live with you, all that good stuff. If you want a wife specifically, because with girlfriends, not necessarily. But for a wife specifically, you had to be the provider. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That's the way. That's the way that it was. However, however, because that was something that we set, and even after women fought for the rights to work, fought for the rights to earn their own living, you still had a point where even after the Great Depression and after that recession, men still were big on being able to be providers. We are raised that way. Let's just be honest, right? The majority of us men are raised to be providers. What are we told? If you don't work, you don't eat. Okay? Even in the Bible, it says a man who doesn't work doesn't eat. So we transfer that over, right? That if we're gonna get a woman, we don't care how much money she makes, because at the end of the day, it's going to have to be our money that's going to have to put forth, so forth, so on, so forth, so on. So now that you have women that's like, they don't want to do nothing. They don't want to do nothing at all. To be honest, we kind of started that bad habit for them. We did as men. We started that. We have to acknowledge that we set that bad precedent by one, not initially allowing them to work, because that wasn't a thing from the beginning of the time. People like to act like they, since the days of Moses and them, women didn't work. Yes, they did. They just did different kinds of work. So just from the American frame, the American standpoint, men did not create a society where women were allowed to work. Thus, we created the standard for women being at home, being stay at home, or being kept while we bring in the bread. Plain and simple. That falls on us, right? I think we should agree on that. However, and Kenya, I'm gonna get to your points right after I finish. Um, but I see you in the chat. However, let's go back to something I just said. Women fought for the right to work because it meant their financial freedom. Because when we talk about, dudes being this provider and our grandparents and our great grandparents and, traditional standards for husband and wife, women always like to bring up that there were women who, due to their financial dependence on a man, suffered abuse, suffered infidelity. Suffered, 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 suffered. I'm not gonna pretend that none of that happened. I'm not here to be disingenuous nor disrespectful. However, is it probably over exaggerated? Yes. Yes. And again, they work to have their own financial independence. Kudos, y'all got it. Women now like to mention how much they out earn men. Cool. I ain't mad at that. Get your paper. Remember, Neo had that song not too long ago. It still rocks in the clubs now and then. Miss Independent, right? Miss Independent, rain or shine, she got it. She bought it. All that, right? So, Beyonce, my way, man, independent. And y'all throwing your hands, women was throwing their hands up at her, right? Cool. But you can't be both. So at that point, it's no longer on us. At that point, it's no longer our fault. At that point, you can't blame us no more. At that point, you can't blame men no more because you fought for the right to work. You got the right to work. Y'all bust your ass. Y'all did what y'all had to do while still being moms. Praises, accolades for all that. I'm not dismissing or disagreeing with none of that. But to say that you fought for all that just to turn around and have to live a life that now you get with a man, you don't have to do nothing. It don't add up. That's outside of the men who desire trophy wives, or outside of the men who desire the women to be housewives, stay at home. Y'all can't put that on us. Now there are those men that exist. There are men that exist. Talk to them about it. Talk to them about it. Now I want to go over Kenya's points. I don't like the word kept because they were being taken care of because that was our job. Yes. Yes, it was. It absolutely was our job. As I just said, yes, that fell on us. We created that situation for women so they did not have another choice. So as such, we had to provide for them. That was part of that was the whole deal. I won't even say part of the deal. That was the whole deal that we created. The black women were fine with the way things were going until the white women needed to help to separate themselves from their abusive husbands or men. Um, there's truth in that, but it's not entirely true because we're not going to act like it was just white men who were abusive because they had the paychecks and their wives didn't. There were black men who were just as abusive um, because they held the financial power and the women didn't have access to it. So not can't say that black women were just fine. And I'm sure that there were black women who had dreams of doing things that you needed to be able to work to do. It's just that most of them, was like, all right, well, this is how it is, and it is what it is. Um, but we're not going to pretend like, white feminism didn't incentivize certain behaviors from our black women. So again, can't make it seem like everything was just fine and dandy for black women up until the white women came along. We can't go that far, but we can certainly say that they played a part in it. That white feminism played a part in it. I'm not gonna argue with you there, bro. Let's see who else. Dirty said, "I got me a sugar mama." Yeah, they fought for the Myron. They fought for the rights to earn, and now they fought for the rights to get drafted in the wars. You absolutely right. They went a little crazy. I don't think they went crazy. I think they just got to stand on it. I don't think it's nothing crazy. You want the rights to do the things that men are doing. Listen, I'm here for it. Power to the female people. Take the rights and go do it, but do something with it though. That's all I'm saying. You gotta do something with it. Now you got it, so go do something with it. Um, We got the sponsor in the building, Keish with the K. What up? We as black men would love to have the opportunity to be able to do what white men had but abused. Um, some of us would, some of us would, some of us would. I'm not going to lie. I definitely, if I could afford for my wife to not have to do a 9 to 5, that would be my way. Yeah, I'm with you. So I'm pretty sure if you and me got paid enough to stay at home, they will. Yes, sir. That's hard nowadays. Um, yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with you, Kenya. Yeah, you're right. If you and I could have it that way, we would. But I don't have it that way. You know what I'm saying? Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Um, Once again, shout out to the sponsor, aka the owner of Simply the Shade Catering, and the sponsor of Two Kings 215 and Life Be Lifing, aka Denver Mom. So let me go to another example. Now that Keisha's here in the building, let me go to another example. And I'm gonna go with something that me and my co-host talked about. So really, when the white women were housewives and hating it, black women were working as their maids and such. This is true. This is very true. This is very true, Keisha. Which is one of which is one of the reasons I'll never understand why black women took to white feminism the way they did. It's like they not they not down for y'all. If they was, you wouldn't be getting paid pennies. They would want you paid like they want a woman paid. You know what I'm saying? So you know, what I mean, when they went to work in, yeah, when white women got their right to work, they didn't say, okay, let's pay our maids the way that we going out here to make money to get paid. It's like, nah, go watch our kids for damn near free, all types of hours. But that's another story. I'm not completely qualified to speak on the ills of white feminism and how black women adopted to it. I'm gonna stay out of that ring. Um, as far as going too far. No, no, Myra, I agree, and that's what I'm saying. If you fought for the rights for it, stand on it. And as you said, no, they're not standing on it for real. They want the benefits from both sides, and that is true. That is true. Black women always had to work. I agree. Black men and black women always had to work in America. It's just that at one point we actually got paid for it. That is the history. That is the long-standing history of black people in America. Okay. So you're not wrong. I'm gonna put that back on the screen. You are not wrong. I get some points of elevation, but realistically, black women always had to work. 100% true, man. 100. Uh, um, the other point I was going to was going to be something that me and Misha spoke about. So every now and then, when I'm surfing, the social medias, I see the BB aliens, the thirst trappers, you know, the OF models and stuff like that make they posts, and I see men in their comments. Besides the men that are there to enjoy what they see, I see men in the comments upset. I see men, is this the only way you can earn $1? Or, you know, you won't, enjoy it now, it won't last forever. Or is this all you have to offer? Um, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? They frying the thirst trappers. They putting them down, which I don't from just a basic standpoint, I don't understand why you're so into somebody's comments that you don't rock with. It's one thing if you see one post and you decide to speak on that one post, but some of these folks is regular to the point where, Some of these girls gotta block them, and that's weird. You're being a weirdo. You're being a fucking weirdo. Excuse me. You're being a whole weirdo. Knock it off, loser. Um, but I will say that even when we look at, the popular artists of today, the Sexy Reds, the Cardis, all the scantily clad rappers, um, that was my little person. Um, Trying to do his part as much as making sure his room was clean and passing me something to do that. That I'll handle later. Um, so yeah, when it comes to those girls, or like I like to call them the my cootie cat rappers, you know what I'm saying? Because everything got to be about my cootie cat this, my cootie cat that, my da 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 da, right? So you complain about those rappers, we complain about their appearances, complain about the incessant twerking and all that kind of stuff, right? That's our fault. That falls on men. If they're if the let's take it back to just simply the video vixen phase. Men made that phase pop the way it did. The fact that we, and I will say we because I was guilty, was going out there literally buying magazines, bro. Buying magazines with some of these video vixens on them. I look back and shame. I look back and shame at myself. I was young. I ain't know no better. We didn't have the internet the way the internet is now. Um, but you know, I can think of a couple of them still by name. Okay, uh, Esther Baxter. One of them I still talk to every now and then. Um, Esther Baxter. What was the joint? Gloria Velez. I remember she was popular. Buffy the Body. I know if you're from a certain age, y'all remember Buffy the Body. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to my own girl Portia Jenkins. She was also, that whole it was King Magazine, and there was another one that Smooth Magazine, King Magazine, Smooth Magazine had these girls all in them. Um, Angel Conwell. Yeah, yeah. It was an era. Okay, you had to be there. If you was outside for that era, you know what I'm talking about. Um, if you was outside for that era, you know what I was talking about. So in that video vixen era, women were able to get paid lots of money to Myron. Shut up. I'm gonna put it on screen, but I ain't finna say it. I normally read the comments, but I ain't reading that one. I ain't reading that one. But we literally funded that whole phase. So yeah, you had a lot of women that was, you know, 17, like I can't wait till I turn 18, 19 and I could be in such and such video. Yeah, and that was the thing. They wanted to be a video vixen. Um, we even had the infamous superhead, you know what I'm saying? Corinne Steffens. You had girls who, wanted to be her to a certain extent. And, you know, what is it? 20 years later, now we have OnlyFans, right? So for these dudes to be up in arms, complaining about all the twerking and, girls making pages just to thirst trap and all that kind of stuff, that's our fault, y'all. As men, as men, that's our fault. As men, that falls on us. Women started wearing less and started showing more because not only did it get them more attention from men, not only did it get them into places where they ain't had to pay, um, It also put money in some of their pockets. If we being 100% honest, it even created experiences for them that they wouldn't have had access to otherwise. There's women with some crazy stories of their younger, early 20s that if they just, dressed, either modestly or, you know, uh, wasn't going everywhere looking like they was trying to go to a video shoot, they probably would have never had some of these experiences. But they had those experiences because men provided those experiences. Thus, it falls on men, right? Yeah, that one right there was the beginning of OnlyFans facts. I agree to a point where majority of thirsty dudes that couldn't bag nothing on the street without tricking created that problem more so than those who got original game. Problem is, bro. The problem is, the problem is that the dudes who was tricking, the dudes who was putting that bread out, a lot of these dudes weren't just the average dude tricking. It was the celebrities. It was the ballers. It was the rap dudes who had these girls in the video. So that's a whole nother, level to aspire to for a girl who came from nothing, from a girl who came from meager means. She's never going to rap her way to the top. You know what I'm saying? So if she wants to know what it's like to be on a yacht, she's not going to earn her way there. So she can dress scantily clad, be in the right place at the right time. Next thing you know, she's leaving the freaking country on somebody's yacht for the weekend. Now she's going to have to do some things strange, maybe for some change, possibly. But women also do that for free. So that's a whole nother conversation. All I'm saying is that falls on men. However, 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 we can no longer be blamed for this. Excuse me. We can no longer be blamed for this phenomenon of women walking around with their cheeks out, their titties out, um, twerking and shaking ass everywhere they go. Um, we can, as men, can no longer be blamed for that for two reasons. Two, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But one, there are men literally saying that we only find those women attractive as far as what appeals to our base nature, basically what appeals to our lower head. That's all. When we see women participating in that kind of nature, that's all that most of us men ascribe them to, is in the sexual nature. However, you have women who would like to be taken seriously, who would like to be seen as potential wives. Um, and it's kind of like, well, that's not what most men would like for a wife. Now, granted, women can choose to be whatever kind of woman they are and wait for whatever kind of man they want. That's fully within their purview, fully within their prerogative. Women do not have to change if they don't want to. However, I want women and men to know that if you want particular types of men and women, yes, the fuck you are going to have to change. Whether it's in growing up and becoming more mature, whether it's in stepping outside of your box, becoming a little bit more, uh, what's the word? Um, Outgoing, you know, whatever it is, you're gonna have to change. When you want more, you have to do more and give more. If you want different, you have to do different things. So can't just be, this is who I've been all my life. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna wait for da da da, da and it's gonna come to me because I deserve it. No, it's not how it works. Whether you man or female, it's not how it works. Plain and simple. Um, and so you have to know when you like a particular type of male or female, you have to know what they like, and you have to fall into what they like to be able to get them. So, um, Kev, what's going on? Welcome to the chat. How you fight for a right to earn money and still want the same person's money who was giving you money to begin with? Bro, I'm just saying the math don't math. Better yet, what I'm actually saying is you can want that all you want, but you can't blame that on men no more, right? At one point, that was our fault, Kev. At that point, them wanting all our money was our fault because we didn't allow them to have their own money. Now that you can have your own money, now that you make more money than the average man, so forth, so on, money, 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 you can pay for this, you can pay for that, dot, 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 dot. Then you can't be like, well, it's men's fault why you can't get that guy, or men's fault why you feel that way. No, that's on you. That's on you then. That's on you. Um, but as I was saying about the whole, women being more sexual now, women being more provocative, women, dressing, more dressing less, let's put it that way. Um, women hypersexualizing uh themselves. Because that's the thing, right? Like as men, we hear all the time, like, oh, y'all men are so hypersexual. Y'all always sexualizing this one and sexualizing that one and sexualizing. Ben, women, I need y'all to be honest. Y'all be sexualizing yourselves on top of the fact that y'all sexualize men. Let's keep it a fucking buck. Y'all women will over and hypersexualize men that y'all are into. The same women complaining about how men treat them like a piece of meat and only see them as sexual will see that the guys that turn them on and they do not sit there and be like, I wonder what he thinks about how world peace can be achieved. They don't sit there and look at that picture of that boy with his shirt off and the abs and whatever baby oil he got on, pause on baby oil, but whatever. They don't sit there and look at that picture of that guy and be like, oh my God, I just want to know what his highest level of education is. I want him to teach me how to do my checkbook. Like, no, no. They be like, damn, you know the things I would let him do to me, girl. You have dudes who get sexualized because women women like the way they look and that they say certain things that women agree with. Not that this dude is the best looking guy on earth. Not that this dude is the most hunky looking guy. It's that he looks good enough and he's saying things that women want to hear. And they will sexualize that man. So we can stop blaming men for the hypersexualization of society. We can stop blaming men for that. Women participate in hyper and over sexualization every day in their own way. I say we start to rein it back in. It's just going too far. I gotta agree with you, bro. I gotta agree with you. I gotta agree with you. Um, we all gotta start thinking outside the box. Box being quotations. I like that. I like that. Wordplay. Wordplay, bro. Wordplay. Um, I like that, Myra. 10 points. 10 points, Myra. She likes that he has status too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure. For sure, bro. So all I'm saying is all I'm saying is there's definitely, yeah, and I have more examples to go through, but again, it's towards the end of the night. We've been on here for about an hour. And y'all know me, I don't want the episodes going for too long. Um, wait, I'm a chubby dude and I got game. Yes, you do got game, bro. You always had game, but you also got a girlfriend, so you ain't got nothing to prove about having game no more. You already won, bro. Ball game. Um, yeah, no, he definitely gets points for the quotations on box for the double entendre. I gotta give my man his flowers. I be cutting on him when he be bullshitting, but I gotta give my man his flowers when he pull up for 30 and hit the basket. That was fire. That was fire, Myron. That was fire. Definitely gotta give you 10 points. You was only gonna give him two. That's wild. I'm gonna give my man 10 points for the wordplay. But yeah, yeah, giving you 2 points is a little bit hatery. Giving you 2 points is a little bit hatery. Um, but for sure, we are at a different point now where the other thing, and like I said, the first thing is the fact that, is the fact that women participate. But the second part is that if you if you've seen on my page before, I actually put a post up about the female aesthetic. And I said to fellas who follow Non Charles on Facebook, I said, fellas, when women say that their aesthetic is not for you, believe them. And it turned out to this whole thing. It turned out into this whole thing. Mimi thought I was saying one thing and I wasn't. Uh, um, Another one of the lifers commented about, a female's aesthetic and how it never was for men. So if a female's aesthetic, just going with what she said, if a female could say that her aesthetic, regardless of whether or not the guy enjoys it, was never for men, if women are going around saying we don't get dressed up for men anymore, we don't do things for the male gaze, then why are men still being blamed for women getting on these tables and risking their lives for fuller lips, bigger breasts, and bigger ass? Y'all can't blame us for the BB aliens. Y'all can't. Especially because dudes say with their whole chest, that's not the kind of woman that I want to be in a serious relationship with, much less marry. So women who get married, who want to get married and go get BBLs, you can't blame it on the men. Women are going to get BBLs because they plan to get, well, some plan to get paid off of it. And some, a lot actually, I don't even want to say some, a lot because of how they view themselves. Perfect example. Every dude can feel this. Keish can feel this. How many times, and even if she don't feel it for her, I know she's seen it happen with other women. How many times has a man and a woman who in a relationship, a woman sees unattractive in the mirror, a woman sees fat in the mirror, and when she asks her man, does this make me look fat? Do I look fat? And he turns around and says no. Does she say, okay, thank you, baby? No, she don't believe it. She don't believe it. You have a lot of women who will sooner take the compliment from their girlfriend. A dude could give the exact same compliment. Their dude give the exact same compliment, and it doesn't matter. It's assumed that we're lying because, of course, we want to get into their pants, so we'll say anything, right? Never mind the fact that some of y'all girlfriends want to get in your pants, but that's a different episode. Um, that's a different episode. Um, but yeah, you know, we're not gonna be believed. They're gonna believe what they think they see over what the guy who they've been dating for however many years, living with for however years, married to for however many years. What they see in that mirror when they look doesn't matter more than what that guy says. But if their girlfriends come and say it, they believe their girlfriends. So again, while the opinion of men have had a profound impact at one point in time that led women to start dressing less and being a little bit more sexual than sensual or romantic, we are no longer in that phase of the game. Women have autonomy, women have their liberties, and yes, some of the autonomy, some of the liberties have been compromised via government, but not via particular men that y'all be around. Let's just be honest. Um, but women, by and large, are saying that their looks are not for men. Not saying no woman says it, because Misha was very, very clear that she wants to look good for her dude. But there's a lot of women who feel otherwise. My wife, I would also say, would agree with Mish. I'm not going out to look good for my sister and my homegirls. I want to know if you think I look good. I have a problem if you don't think so. I'm not happy if you don't think so. However, I don't think Mish and my wife fall into the majority. Not from what I'm seeing, not from what I'm hearing. So, all this to say, because like I said, I'm gonna wrap this up. We a minute 15 in. I'm gonna wrap this up. I gotta find a way to get people on the live sooner because the chats be always going up towards the end. They don't care, bro. They fell for the whammy. Yes, sir, bro. Yes, sir. They been fell for the whammy. They been fell for the whammy. And it's crazy because here it is, us black men and black women struggling with each other. And a lot of that stuff that's on the TV is white programmed. Um, but that's the trick that they've been playing on black Americans for the longest, bro. So yeah. So while men need to hold the L for certain things that we have instituted that we don't like about black women, while we need to take responsibility and accountability for certain things that we don't like about black women, the fact that we have created the opportunity for these things to happen, that we have initiated the problems in some of these areas, there are more than quite a few areas where we are no longer the fault, the cause, or the perpetuator of said problem. Um, and black and brown women need to take accountability for those parts specifically. Don't blame black women for don't blame black men for why black women are half naked. Um, TV and social media, it ain't no difference between the two when we talk about the agents of mental programming. Um, he said, right, looking good is not just for me, not just for him, but also when he's not around, I have to have a good representation of him. Yeah. We understand it, but that's again, that's thinking of that's still thinking of the couple. That's still thinking of the unit, right? That's still thinking of the unit. What I'm saying is you have a lot of black women these days that are not saying that their man, that they are thinking of the unit when they get dressed. They get dressed for them. I mean, not even just single black women who have dudes. I'm getting dressed for me. I'm getting dressed for me. I even see posts where a girl said, um, being able to being able to dress raunchy my boyfriend because my boyfriend is secure with himself and he can fight. Like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here, yo? You don't really care. You don't really care. It's just the fact that he's cool with it. That makes it easier for you. But if he wasn't, you'd still dress the way you dress because that was the way you dressed before him. So nah, I ain't trying to hear that. I ain't trying to hear that. Um, but let me start wrapping this up. Pause. Let's get this episode concluded. Thank you all for joining. I apologize for the early delay on the episode, having to restart it. Um, right, sock Myron. Um, uh, I appreciate everybody rocking with me on this solo dolo episode. It's a conversation that I think I'm going to bring back to have with some other people. Um, maybe kind of in a forum type of setting where I just have some people come up. I say everybody come up and, after this episode gets out for a little bit, then I just kind of have us come back in, review the points that I mentioned, and we discuss it and see how folks feel about it. If y'all feeling that, drop that, let me know. If y'all feeling that, um, we could definitely do that. But this is the Life Be Life and podcast on behalf of A.C.E, my brother who he always be, on behalf of the sponsor who is also in the chat, sponsor of the podcast and the owner of Simply in the Shade Catering, um, aka Denver Mom, on behalf of Mimi the Goddess. As I always say, be smart, be respectful, be patient, be kind to as many people as you possibly can. I know some people are gonna make that impossible, but that's fine. Just make sure every single day to be kind to yourselves because you cannot pour out of an empty cup. These boys being petty, Professor Petty being petty in the chat. Being petty in the chat. I forgot to put all right. I gotta post that. I gotta post that. I forgot to do the poll for Facebook on who won the debate. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna make sure I put that post on Facebook. Oh man, y'all talking crazy. All right. I gotta end y'all spicy y'all spicy back and forth banter because I gotta end the episode. But again, thank you to everyone who was in the chat tonight. Kane, Kevin, Canyon. I said Kane already. Kane, Kevin, Keish, my nigga Dirty, Myron. Um, appreciate all y'all, man. I appreciate you life for so much. I have no idea. Y'all help this keep going. And I will see y'all next Thursday for the next one. We do have guest schedule for the next 2 weeks. So if you're tired of just hearing me, don't worry about it. You won't have to for the next 2 weeks. I already got guest schedule. I won't tell y'all who. It's a surprise. Have a great weekend until I see y'all next. Peace and love.